Advancements in technology allow society to improve, but what about what is lost as these improvements take place? This story attempts to look at this very issue. Frear Hall is one of the student housing communities that students attending the University of Hawaii at Manoa can live in during the academic year. In addition, it hosts conference housing in which guests from various programs can stay in. One common area that these two types of residents share is the Frear Hall lobby desk. Every day, people walk by it and utilize the desk services without realizing that there is a much bigger story to the mosaic that seems to be unnoticed. Frear Hall opened in 1952 as a women's-only residence hall, named after the former UH Manoa regent, Mary Dillingham Frear. It later was open to both men and women. One of the centerpieces of the lobby was this mosaic that was in a style very much akin to Jean Charlot, who is a UH Manoa art professor. However, it is unknown who put this mosaic together since there isn't a record of Charlot doing a mosaic, or that we know of. It's a mystery. In 1997, the building closed and a project was started to build the 12-story residence hall with the capacity to house around 800 residents. The majority of the original building was torn down, the mosaic was cut up and repurposed to fit a new desk. One of the pieces was chosen to decorate the desk, and the others were put into storage. So, why hasn't this mosaic been put back together? Well, we can speculate based off of a few things that could prove this task to be challenging. Generally speaking, mosaics are fun, challenging projects because the tiles need to be cut up and put together to make images. The smaller the tiles, the finer the details can be. However, the smaller the tiles, the more tedious and time-consuming a mosaic can be. To put a mosaic back together or restoring a mosaic requires the broken tiles to be removed from the art piece along with cleaning them, so the new glue can be applied to the pieces in order to set them back into place. The new tile also needs to be the same, if not as close as possible, in material and color, which can be tough to do. With patience and determination, a mosaic can be restored and put together and provide the space with some artistic expression. Returning to this mosaic piece in the lobby of Frear Hall, there's not only the challenge of restoring the mosaic, but also some external challenges that I was able to discuss with Sean Kiono, who is the Associate Director of Operations in Student Housing at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. We discussed 4 components that go into each project that is done in this department. The first 2 are budget and timing, which are fairly common to any given project. The other components are scope and impact.
I'd compare scope as being the narrative of the project, basically defining what you're trying to achieve or intending to achieve with as much descriptive and description as possible, in it. It may not be necessarily detailed specifications at that point, but at least in general description, narrative of what the goals are of the project, of what you're trying to achieve. Yeah. It could include, I guess, it could include steps if there are steps that need to be specifically followed, and if there's a rhyme to that. But it could be as generic as a descriptive script of what we're trying to achieve. For example, a 1,000 square foot single room building with metal exterior and wood rooftop. It could be as simple as that, or it could be as elaborate as as describing Frear Hall, where it's multiple suites of different layouts, multiple floors, multiple elevators, different types of common areas and gathering spaces, even describing even further to the point of how is art incorporated or not, and where art is incorporated or not. Impact has multiple angles, right? So impact meaning if there's a time frame of impact for the project that's you're taking on, but there's also the other perspective of impact of the project that your end result will provide. For example, if you're trying to make an impact on the res life community, and by bringing in a new service, well, you got to make sure that the renovation achieves that goals or what you set out to be, right? So that making sure you get to that impact. But also, it could be renovating an existing hall that's currently occupied. Do we have a certain time frame and a window that will impact budget as well? So, impacting their different variations and forms. It could be as simple as renovating a back of the house support facility for maintenance and operations, and what's the impact there? Probably very slim to none to the residents, but it may impact our operational service to the residents, right? So impact varies.
So to recap with this, there were 4 components: budget, timing, scope, impact. Each affect each other. Combine that with the challenges that were previously discussed about putting a mosaic back together, or really together even in some cases. There's a huge challenge. So it would require a very particular and specific plan in order to put this mosaic back together. Now, while there's no current plan to restore the mosaic to the desk or even renovate the desk, these are simply the challenging considerations that can be foreseen. But beyond this mosaic, are there any instances where artists lost the progress either through necessary renovations or simply time that you can remember? And it doesn't have to be man-made artwork, because sometimes the environment has some intricate creatures and creations. However, we do live in a digital age, and the likelihood that you are watching this on a mobile handheld device like a smartphone or tablet is high. By taking photos of what we see, we can preserve the moment and even the memories at the time. The next time you see something cool and worthy of remembering, pull out your camera or open your smartphone's camera app and take a photo. Future you will be thanking you.